Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Grow Your Faith. I'm Michael Chestnut here with Pat Milligan today. Pat, we are on episode 21 today.
Wow.
21 episodes now. We started this year. We've done several different formats. I'm glad that you guys are sticking with us and being patient with us. We're trying to find the right time set, our niche really is what we're finding. But I enjoy this time with my friend Pat. We go back so many years, and what a joy just to reconnect with you now, Pat. I love it. I love it. So today, though, Pat is going to be talking to us about our thinking, God's thinking. And what a great way to start our Monday morning off as we get ready for our work week and talking about this subject here. So, Pat, I'm going to send it right on over to you this morning.
Good. Good morning, everyone. As we think today, we're thinking about our thinking and God's thinking. Many times our thinking is not the right one, but I want to give you some thoughts today and some verses that can help you. First of all, we say a lot of things, it's impossible. But, God, that's what we say. But God says all things are possible. The things that are impossible with man are possible with God. And things are possible. I want to tell you today, as you're going wherever you're going this morning, think about this. God says everything's possible. That means whatever I face today, God can be there. But notice another thought. We will say, I am tired. Let's face it, a lot of times we're tired. There's no question. But God says, I will give you rest. And then it says that in Matthew 11:28, come unto me and I'll give you rest. And we're supposed to rest in God and then ask God to help us in everything we do. But that was another thought today. Nobody really loves me. You ever said that before? I admit, a couple times I've said that because it's just the way things might have been going that day. And I realized that's not the right thinking. But God says, I will love you. For God so loved the world. Boy, I tell you what, think about that today. Whatever condition you're in, God loves you and he wants you to get through what you're going through. But notice another one. Nobody really cares for me. Sometimes we'll say that. But I care for you. In 1 Peter 5:7, it says, cast all your cares upon him. That means today, if you're going through something today, cast it on God today. Let God have it, and God will help you. But notice another thought. I cannot figure this out. So many things in my life, I try to figure things out. And when I try to figure it out, man, I blow it. But when God does, it makes difference. But notice what God says here. It says, I can't believe you think that. What God says? It says, I will direct thy path. Proverbs 3:5-6. He says, I'll direct you. This day that you're going right now, things might not be starting off the right way, but God says I'll direct you. So many times I start a day and things not going well, I'm going to go back in bed and get out the other side of the bed. And maybe that might help me, But God says, will direct you in everything you do. But notice another one. You might say, I cannot do it. As I said, all things are God, through God, everything's possible. But notice another thought. I am not worthy of it. When we think about this, sometimes we get to that point. But notice this. He says, it will be worth it all. God says, whatever you go through, follow him. Let me just tell you, this is my own experience with God. God says he'll help me in everything that I do. Many times I think things, and boy, it's sometimes never the right thing, but God says, I will get you through this. It's also another one. I cannot forgive myself. Have you ever been there where you think, well, man, I can't forgive myself? Notice John says in 1 John 1:9, he says, I will forgive you. One thing about God will have open arms, say, come on home to me. A lot of times when we do so, some people, I go to some people that want to ask for forgiveness, they have their hands folded and they won't forgive you, but God will forgive you. And it's a great thing today. But also another thing, he says, I cannot afford it. Sometimes we go through things and say, I can't afford to do this way, or I can't afford this. Notice God says, I will supply your needs. He says, I will supply your needs in everything, every way. And as I think about these things here, these thoughts here today, God is always has an answer for what we need. And we need to have God direct us in everything that we do. And as I bring it down, I'm going to get back over to Mike this morning. And as you're driving down the road, hey, or at your work already, or listen to the broadcast, so no matter where you're at, God says, "Hey, I'm here for you," and and we're supposed to take our thinking and put it into His thinking. And when we do that, it makes a big difference. In other words, let God work through your life. Put good things in your life. Have God help you in everything you do. It'll make a great big difference. And as we think about this today, His thinking, our thinking, where should we follow? Should be His thinking.
I love that. You know, I think about while you're talking this, God has been bringing this to me, Pat, this month, this thought that God's ways is not our way. And a lot of times we have things already mapped out for Christ
Yes.
to do it. And the truth is, if we did it our way, if we could do it our way, why would we need God? First off. Second of all,
right,
our way hasn't been working. That's why we're in sometimes the jams that we're in. And, you know, I think about this, Pat. I had a prayer that God would redeem me. I had a prayer that God, where the enemy always got me and my wife, was in our finances. Always got us in our finances, right?
Sure.
And we did a Dave Ramsey course on, you know, Dave Ramsey's class, and we were overwhelmed with it. We took it 2 times because we were overwhelmed with it and with our bills, because we didn't have, our money didn't match our bills. You know, our income didn't match our bills. But they kept saying, be faithful to God, right? And it started with our tithe. And we didn't even have the money to really tithe. But me and my wife made a decision, no, we're going to tithe. We are going to be faithful to God. We don't know how this is going to work out. But we know that God, we have to believe that God will do it. That God will do it. And we had to get outside of ourselves, right?
Right.
Well, today I'm sitting here, I'm debt free. We have our bills in place. We're not rich by any means, but God answered our prayer requests. Now, let me tell you though, if I knew how God was going to answer that prayer request, I would have said, no, thank you. Because it ended up a tanker truck falling on top of us, running over us, almost killing us. But out of that wreck forced me to get counseling that brought healing to me. Out of that came a book that I wrote. And out of that, we just got a settlement that helped us to pay everything off. Like I said, we're not not rich, but we're debt free now. And if, you know, God's ways are just so different than ours. And sometimes I don't want to know how God's going to do it now, because through it might seem terrible to us. Might be like, what is God doing? But God is in control.
That's right.
And you don't know, you're going to work today and you're working with this person that you just can't stand. You're like, God, why is it that every Monday you put me with this person, and what have I done wrong? But maybe the question should be, what have you done right that God is entrusting you to be with this person,
right?
So that you can show that person who God is today. And we have to get outside of our thinking and look at God's way of thinking. And so we're looking at it as a bad thing, but God's saying, no, open your eyes. I'm blessing you right now. You just can't see it yet. So I love what you've brought to us today, because I think, you know, how great is that we can have these moments, and we just have to start looking more at how God is thinking and less of our thought process.
That's right.
So, Pat, thank you again for that today. And guys, until next week, you have a great week and you keep growing your faith every day. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.